Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us once again for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of the news Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The heavily debated CHEZ issue was the focus today in the parliamentary session. Not surprisingly, there were arguments between the majority and the opposition on the controversial issue. The former Prime Minister Salih Berisha blamed the majority for the CHEZ scandal, calling it the biggest affair in recent history. After allowing Berisha to speak his mind, Prime Minister Rama accused the former government of doing nothing about the CHEZ issue after the company sued the Albanian state. The arguments grew so heated that the Assembly Speaker ordered a brief recess for the tempers to cool down. When the session resumed, Prime Minister Rama spoke on the issue for the first time since the opposition accused his ally, Ilir Meta. "Allow me to clarify one thing," he said. "I don't need to defend Ilir Meta, and he has no obligation or need to defend me. We have an agreement to rule the country, not to defend each other from justice. Issues of justice belong to justice, and if any of us or anybody else has problems with justice, they simply have to face it," said Mr. Rama. He gave his assurance that the CHEZ issue will be investigated by the Albanian prosecution and declared that help has been requested from the FBI and that they are waiting for a response. "We have asked the FBI to assist in an international investigation that would be within our legal framework," he said. "We would be happy if the opposition would join us in case we get a positive answer from the FBI investigators." Mr. Rama reiterated that there is not a single article in the agreement with the Czech company that would hamper an investigation of the case, contrary to what the opposition claims. It appears that possible changes to the government will continue to be the center of communication between the Socialist Party and the SMI. A day after the leaders of the coalition met together, the head of the SMI parliamentary group, Petrit Vasili, announced that his party will support the choices of the Prime Minister, whether or not he makes changes to the cabinet. Mr. Vasili said, "The successful performance and continuation of the reforms are the most important thing. We support the work of the government, and the Prime Minister has the right to make a decision on whether or not to make changes, but he will have our support. The most important thing to us is the continuation of the reforms, especially in the economy, in order to meet the expectations of the Albanians." Mr. Vasili denied that yesterday's meeting between Prime Minister Rama and Ilir Meta was to discuss possible changes in the cabinet. According to him, it was a normal meeting like those that take place before any plenary session. He explained, "Yesterday's meeting was a routine meeting that is held every Wednesday before the plenary session. The Prime Minister is the director of the government. Whenever he needs our support for the parliamentary activities or any other activity, he will have it." Vasili made these comments outside the Parliament building today. Regarding tonight's match, he said that showing a European attitude is more important than the results of the game. The EU ambassador to Albania, Romana Vlahutin, has asked the government to improve the climate of doing business in Albania. While attending the presentation of a project for small and medium enterprises, she insisted on the realization of the justice reform and the fight against corruption. "It is important to improve the business climate in Albania," she said, "in order to improve competition and attain a higher approach. Albania aims to become an EU member state, and this means that it will be integrated into a strong market with clear rules, in which there are millions of consumers. It is therefore important to complete the justice reform, which must address all the problems of the system, to combat informality, to solve issues of ownership, and to disclose judicial rulings." The Minister of Economy, Arben Ahmetaj, also spoke today, saying that the government will aim for a higher economic increase in the future. He asked for a new platform of assistance from the European Union. The EU and the EBRD will fund a project of €2 million to come to the aid of small and medium enterprises. The project will assist 120 enterprises and will be supported by the assistance of foreign experts. The latest report from Instat says that the government's operation against informality has increased the prices of multiple categories in the market. According to Instat, inflation in September increased up to 2.2%, up from 1.9% in August. The main product categories that experienced increase in price were foods and non-alcoholic beverages, with an increase of 1.94%, followed by alcoholic beverages and tobacco at 0.25%. Another group that has influenced the high inflation rate in September is educational services, with an increase of 0.15%. Hotels, coffee, and restaurants have also contributed with 0.03%. The biggest price reduction has been noted in transportation, clothing, shoes, rent, water, fuel, and energy. There has been a gradual price increase in many of the market categories since the operation against informality began. The effect in the consumable markets was warned about by the economic experts and by the governor of the Bank of Albania, who recently declared as much for Ora News. Meanwhile, the BOA is analyzing the overall effect that the operation will have on the economy. The attention of the entire country is on the football match tonight between Albania and Serbia, which could be a historic game for Albania. A victory for the Albanian national team will take them to France 2016. For the first time, Albania has the chance to compete for the European Championship. This match is extremely important for the ambitions of the Red and Blacks because the Albanian national team is currently in third place with 11 points, 1 less than Denmark and 4 less than Portugal. In addition to the dream of qualifying for the European Championship, the match holds even more meaning after last year's incident in the Serbian stadium. The coach of the Albanian team has appealed to the fans to be calm and mature. He reminded them to show maturity and manners since Albania's qualification and future is in play. Apart from a hopeful win, the safety of the match is the most important thing tonight in the Elbasan arena. The city of Elbasan has taken extreme precautionary measures, and the mayor of Elbasan has given his assurance that there will be no problems. Over 2,300 police officers have been assigned to provide security for the match, and there will be surveillance from the air as well. No parking will be allowed in the area around the stadium, and there are even precautions to prevent people on foot from entering the apartment buildings in the immediate vicinity. Prime Minister Edi Rama met today with a group of Serbian students who came to watch the football match tonight in Elbasan. Mr. Rama did not pretend that the match does not carry some strong emotions, but he emphasized that good neighborliness was more important. He expressed his regret about an incident yesterday in which a 14-year-old boy threw rocks at the Serbian bus while it was traveling from the airport to the hotel. Mr. Rama said that this match should transmit an important message, a message of transformed Balkan region. "We are not enemies," he said. "We are two opposing teams who want to be friends. I am really sorry that a 14-year-old boy threw stones at the bus of the Serbian team. This shows that a lot of work still needs to be done, even when your generation has the desire to change." Prime Minister Rama expressed the desire to continue the practice of exchanging students between the two countries. The Serbian Minister of Education, who was with the group of students, made the statement that the presence of the Serbian students in Albania is a great achievement and that this is an opportunity to start a new chapter. The Serbian students arrived yesterday and stayed with Albanian families. In an open letter, the Serbian Prime Minister writes that he will not travel to Elbasan because of the politicization of the football match. Mr. Vučić writes, "Based upon the circumstances and because of the politicization of the match, after some talks with the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama, I decided to not travel to Elbasan. As the Prime Minister of Serbia, I strongly condemned the attacks of the Albanian fans against our footballers, and I call the Albanian authorities to guarantee security before, during, and after the match." The Serbian Prime Minister says that Albania and Serbia are working on some big regional projects and that they have worked hard on establishing a mutual understanding. He praised the reception of the Serbian students in Albania. "I believe that the Prime Minister of Albania, together with the Serbian leadership, sent an important message with the students' exchange, not only to our people, but also to show the entire world that we are responsible for the future of the region," said Prime Minister Vučić. Thanks so much for choosing Ora News as your source for updates in English. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks, and have a great evening.